Imagine a world not of paper, but of clay. Picture a building, not just of mud brick and timber, but constructed from pure knowledge itself. This was the library in ancient Mesopotamia, nestled between the life-giving Tigris and Euphrates rivers. These were not the silent, dusty archives we might think of today. They were vibrant, pulsating hearts of civilization. Here in the sprawling cities of Babylon, Nineveh, Ur, the very idea of collecting the world's wisdom was born. These libraries were a bold declaration. They announced that human thought, stories, laws, discoveries, were precious. They were worth preserving, worth protecting from the relentless march of time and the fragility of memory. These weren't just buildings. They were arsenals of information and symbols of immense power. A king who controlled knowledge could govern more effectively, predict the movements of the stars, justify his rule through epic tales blessed by the gods. The library was central to the state. It stood beside the palace and the temple as a pillar of society, a testament to a ruler's might and sophistication. To walk through their cool, dark corridors was to walk through the collective mind of a civilization. So how did they capture all this knowledge? The answer lies in the very ground beneath their feet. The Mesopotamians wrote on clay tablets, a medium that was both brilliantly simple and incredibly durable. Imagine a scribe sitting in the shade of a courtyard. He takes a lump of fine, wet clay, shapes it into a small, pillow-like rectangle that fits perfectly in the palm of his hand. This humble piece of earth is his page. Using a stylus, typically a reed cut to a triangular tip, he presses wedges into the soft surface. This distinctive wedge-shaped writing is what we call cuneiform. Each combination of wedges represents a syllable. Each combination of wedges represents a word, a complex and beautiful script that held the keys to their entire world. The process was an art form in itself. Once the text was complete, the tablet was left to dry in the hot Mesopotamian sun. Royal decrees, epic poems, essential legal codes. For more important documents, the tablets were often baked in a kiln. This firing process turned the soft clay into hard ceramic, making the text almost indestructible. It is a wonderful irony of history that the very fires set by conquerors to destroy these cities often ended up baking and preserving the libraries they sought to obliterate. These tablets were not as portable as a modern book, of course. A single long story like the Epic of Gilgamesh might require a dozen or more heavy tablets, each one carefully numbered to keep the narrative in order. Becoming a scribe was no easy task. It required years of rigorous training, often starting in childhood. What did they write about? The simple answer is everything. The sheer variety of knowledge stored in these libraries is staggering. They were a complete mirror of Mesopotamian life, capturing the grand, the mundane, the sacred, the profane. At the core were administrative and economic records. Tens of thousands of tablets meticulously document grain distributions, livestock counts, tax receipts, business contracts. Beyond the practicalities, the libraries were treasure troves of law and of literature. They held great legal codes, like the famous Code of Hammurabi. And then there were the stories, the first great epics of humanity, tales of gods, monsters, and heroes. Science and scholarship flourished on these clay tablets. They charted the stars and the planets. Perhaps most surprisingly, these libraries contained the world's first dictionaries. Of all the libraries of the ancient world, one name stands out above all others: the Royal Library of Ashurbanipal at Nineveh. This was not just a collection, it was the result of one man's burning passion, a magnificent obsession to create the ultimate repository of all human knowledge. Ashurbanipal ruled the Neo-Assyrian Empire in the 7th century BCE, a paradox. A fierce warrior king known for military conquests and brutal suppression of enemies, yet also a dedicated scholar who could read and write cuneiform. He took immense personal pride in his learning, and saw the collection as his legacy and imperial cornerstone. Ashurbanipal's ambition was breathtaking. He didn't want just a library, he wanted the library. He dispatched scribes and agents across his empire with orders to find and acquire every written work. Many tablets bear the colophon, "For the palace of Ashurbanipal, king of the world, king of Assyria." Empires, no matter how powerful, are not eternal. The great cities of Mesopotamia, for all their grandeur, were vulnerable to the tides of war and conquest. The end for many of these magnificent libraries came swiftly and violently. In 612 BCE, a coalition of enemies besieged and sacked the Assyrian capital of Nineveh. The Babylonians, the Medes. The city was burned to the ground. The great library of Ashurbanipal was consumed by the inferno. Upper floors collapsed, burying the library under tons of rubble. Thousands of tablets were smashed into fragments. For over 2,000 years they lay silent beneath a mound of earth. Yet the fires also preserved the tablets. The clay was transformed into durable ceramic, as hard as pottery. The flames meant to erase Ashurbanipal's legacy instead ensured its survival. The rediscovery of these libraries in the 19th and 20th centuries was nothing short of a revelation. It was like finding a lost continent of the human mind. Suddenly, a civilization could speak for itself. The painstaking work of deciphering cuneiform and piecing together the shattered tablets has fundamentally reshaped our understanding of the past. The influence of these ancient libraries echoes in our world today. The 60-second minute, the 60-minute hour. The very idea of a library, pioneered by Ashurbanipal, became a model for the Library of Alexandria, and for the great national libraries of the modern era. It reminds us that knowledge is both incredibly powerful and terrifyingly fragile. Today, our knowledge is stored on servers, on hard drives, and in the cloud. A magnetic pulse, a hardware failure, or a simple lapse in data migration. We are recovering a vital part of our own shared human story. A story that was written in clay, lost in fire, and found again in the dust. Enjoyed this video? Follow and subscribe for more interesting facts.